Hi team, welcome to the developer meeting. So we get started with the agenda. So today we have two topics for discussion, and one is from Andy and Baiju. So Andy's topic is regarding the SBO triage maintaining review. So over to Andy.
Yes. The question here is, so I did SBO triage maintenance for about two-ish weeks. And then I was out for 2 weeks, and I have not done it since I was gone. I'm looking for feedback on how the process has gone for everyone else. I'm looking for feedback on improvements we could make towards this process.
I think Baju was doing that role last week.
Actually, Pavel took over me while he was doing the moderations.
Yeah, but while Andy was on vacation, you were doing that as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was going through the issues. I already did one of the issue. I was spent time going through in detail in the last meeting, and so yeah. So I think if you make some preparation and and focusing on certain issues, that actually helps during the call. So that is something.
As part of the process, Andy, do you have the process published somewhere that people can follow?
Yes, I'll just link it in the docs. I probably should have done that.
Now, is the process prescriptive about what needs to happen with the issues, or I don't remember now. Sorry.
My intention was it is supposed to be prescriptive on like how or when you need to get back to people and like
Okay.
how soon you need to pull in other people. I'm not really trying to just to prescribe to you, however, what exactly how you decide to respond to a particular issue.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
but in terms of like labels and whatnots,
Right. That's
that
important thing.
is
Like,
that covered? Yeah.
Mhm.
are we picking up the issue? Is the issue gonna be labeled, or is it gonna be Jira created? Stuff like that, right? So that's the feedback that we need to get, right? So whoever is the triage during that week, they need to follow the process, and then they have an opportunity to feedback and change the process, right? So that's what we expect out of a triage maintainer, right?
Mhm.
Is that what you're thinking, Nandi?
That largely aligns with what I was going for with this role. I'm of course willing to change that if you agree otherwise.
So maybe Pavel, if you're doing that role this week, let us know. We could discuss in Cabal. We can discuss here, right?
What I said you did last time.
No, yeah. Thanks, Baiju.
So
I did because I was moderating. I was doing that.
Mm,
It's part of my moderation, right?
I see. So basically, it sounds like whoever's moderating is also the triage maintainer and triaging that same
No,
week.
it's nothing like that. I didn't consider myself a triage maintainer. I just did that.
You just did it. Okay.
But is that a schedule? Is that part of the process as well? Is that like a rotation schedule that we're doing?
That was the intention for this role, although considering the lack of throughput we're getting, and the fact that it's basically an issue every week or two, the intention wasn't to do like a weekly handoff. We could make it a little less frequent than that.
Right.
Make
I
it
remember.
like once every month or so, or every sprint, or
Yep. Yeah, I'm done with that.
Okay.
So all the SBO members, right? And I can help too, by the way. So you can include me in that list. So let's start rotating. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And we can also start responding to issues as soon as possible. No need to wait for it. There was some issue somebody reported yesterday. I brought up that one for our discussion, and we reached some good conclusion regarding whether we identify that's not really an issue in the chat itself, right? So sometimes that's also should work.
Yeah, the idea with the rotation is, there are weeks that we're busy, there are weeks that we're less busy, and we can spend time in the community. I mean, this doesn't mean that you cannot, even if you're not triage maintainer, go there and contribute, right, and help.
Yeah.
So, but that's consistency, right? So we know that because there's a triage maintainer, it doesn't matter if everyone is busy. We're separating some time intentionally. We're separating some time
Mhm.
for that person that week. If he needs to take one less story to do a role, so be it, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's and that's important, because then we're as a team, we're allocating consistent time to that. So it doesn't matter if we're
Yes.
busy or not. It'll be consistent, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah. I could say diverse people coming and reporting issues nowadays. Okay, maybe not very frequently, but I'd see always new faces. People coming and reporting issues in the platform.
Nice. We want that. That means people are using SBO.
Yeah, and not just Red Hackers. Yeah, there are Red Hat people, but outside Red Hat also.
Nice.
Yeah, some IBM folks also. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I think I've gotten the feedback I want. I think the next steps for this are we should have an authoritative source of who is triage maintainer for any particular week.
We can add it to the agenda, so that way we know the assignments for the following
Yes.
week. We could just kind of update that as we go along, so we know who's responsible.
But how do we
Yeah.
know the rotation?
Yeah.
What's
I
the
mean,
list we're rotating against?
We could use the moderator schedule that we have, the spreadsheet that we use for stand up, and the community call, etc. We could add another tab to that.
Okay, I'm fine
Okay.
with
Okay. Maybe one last suggestion is that for the triage maintainer, while it's great in the Word doc, it might be good to include this into the GitHub, a README or a contributor guide or what have you, like a good place, wherever the best place is to include this information.
Good document this in our repository rather than
somewhere. Yeah.
We're going to force you to show up to this meeting, look at our agenda, just to get a link to how the role is specified.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I will take that as an action item. That's about it for me. I think I know what I need to do for this and how to improve. Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Shruti, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Andy, for the discussion. So we'll go ahead with the next discussion for Baiju's proposal for secret remapping extension.
Yeah, there's just a thought came to my mind while going through all those field export, in the ACK operator, ACK APIs operator. So I mentioned this in one of our call that we might need another, kind of mapping. So I thought maybe just some mapping exclusively for secret, not for every arbitrary resources, would be sufficient for some scenarios. Like for example, in the case of ACK, right? Anyway, they have a mechanism called that field export, which basically creates a secret. The only problem with that secret is that the keys are not really, very can be consumed by applications. So it has very, deep nested formats like namespace or dot and then some other name like that. So that makes it very difficult. Of course, people can create n1 variable or anything with that, but I don't think that would be convenient for application developers to use it. Most of the application developers, for example, if you are using ODBC or JDBC, that means you are expecting your names are like username, password, host, port, like that short names, right? So having some kind of way to map only for the secret resource would be a nice thing. That's what I'm thinking. So just who is sharing the screen? Can you scroll down? Yeah.
Why only for the secret? Why not for?
Okay, maybe we can have a generic one like last time I posted in my other document, which is very bit complex one. But I think that having a mapping only for this would be helpful for in this scenario. Okay, or maybe if somebody want to, yeah, anywhere wherever they're just only secret, they just need to change the keys. Yes, show me the scroll down a little more further. This type. So that's why I'm thinking schema like this. This kind could be called secret mapping, and the spec is again very simple, just a name which is pointing to a secret, existing secret, and then an array of mapping the current key and new key, like that. So it's repeating. You can have any number of keys there. So that's going to create another secret as once the reconciliation is done for this resource, and it's going to set that status binding name pointing to the new secret. So, and that means basically this becomes a provision service which can be mentioned in the service binding. Yeah.
Thinking. Interesting idea. Why separate schema, not on the SBO CR?
Sorry?
Why separate mapping? Why don't we do it right on the service binding CR? The mapping. And we already do that, right? So we already can remap, but it has to be done with environment variables. It will be the trade-off, right?
Yeah, this kind of rigging can be done in the. You're thinking about our API or the spec API?
No, so what I'm thinking is, okay, so let's say someone decides, okay, I'm gonna use this field exporter from ACK, and I'm gonna use service binding that allows me to bind direct secret, right? So he's just following documentation. Then what happens to those fields? Those fields show up as what? As something dot something, right?
Yeah.
As a key.
Yeah, I'm talking in the case of ACK, it was coming up like that. But that depends on the whatever the controller provisions are. I mean, the backing service, that's right.
No, but I'm looking for the user experience. You see what I'm going? Okay, so someone decided to use field exporter. Someone decided to use SBO. What happens next? So what does the user sees in the projection? Does he see something he doesn't like? I mean, why would you go about and say, oh, I need to remap this thing?
Because, for example, let's take a scenario where PostgreSQL itself, right? They need the keys like username, password. So in the example that given here, see that in the current value is called user, okay, and password is PASSWD. So I want the key to be changed to password. So I mean, just adjusting that name properly, appropriately, so that. So this proposal is to, I mean, this proposal is written in such a way that it can be submitted to the spec as a spec extension.
Yeah. I would say this is up to the application to consume the fields, right? So the mapper could be done at the application level, right? Where you can go and say, yeah, I got this object. I'm gonna map that object to this object, but the data is exactly what I need, right? The data is the username, the PWD is the password, right? And then I need to construct my connection strings or my access clients, right? With that data, right?
Yeah, but there are scenarios like I mentioned last time with respect to Quarkus, for example, or what are the other ones, Spring Boot, right? So they're all using their standard libraries, which is kind of stable and frozen. So I don't think they would be happy to modify their key setup. So that means they expect what is expected is already finalized. So that means for them, if somebody is using that library, I don't think they can change those things.
Okay, think about for example, the client. You remember the clients? I think you worked on that. So there's like a client library that we use that enables
Yeah,
service
for-
binding
for-
for Python, for this, for that, right? Shouldn't that be handled there in the client side, not necessarily in the service binding, you know,
Yeah, it can be handled there, but what I'm
process? I
saying
mean,
that
from the service binding process is like, oh, you give me a secret, I'll just bind the secret, and then it's up to the application to figure out what the data means. You know what I mean?
yeah. So if the application doesn't have the luxury to do such kind of things, like in the case of they're using that as a Quarkus, okay, so that is they already decided to use the type as PostgreSQL. So there is no way that can change it to Postgres, and that means that's what they're expecting, right? So that means if somebody using that Quarkus, building Quarkus application, they need to completely abandon that Quarkus way of binding. And if somebody using any Spring Boot application, they need to completely abandon that Spring Boot, because that's what provided by the framework. It's all very big, large Java frameworks, right? Which I don't know how to.
Yeah, we
So-
don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But the
Yes,
application
yes.
owners, it's like it's a piece of cake for them. I mean, it's like, oh, sure, entry point. I'm gonna map this object to this object. The data is coming. The data is being provided like this from NCK. They decided to do it like that. I need to do the mapping. So, but it's not. I don't think it's the SBO responsibility to start to figure out all these cases, right? Where
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we can provide some. I think to me, it's just we could provide some easy workaround for this scenario, right? But not necessarily create a new, extension or something that requires a new CR, right? So I'm on the fence on that, but that's me. Maybe let's hear from the other ones what you guys think.
So I'm thinking to make this as a proposal to the spec and see what they're going to.
I see what they think.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So this is written in that way. I'm going to send it as a PR to the spec repository, and looking forward to more feedback from there also.
Let's see the feedback. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all from my side then.
Shri, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Do we have anything? If there's any information or any details that we can discuss, we can have on the call.
Can we stop the recording and then?
Yeah,
discuss,
yeah,
I
sure.
think,
Bye.
when we are done. Yeah.